Welcome to Zero to Start, a podcast about Unity VR development from concept to Oculus Test Channel with your hosts, Ceciliana Trevino
and Melanie Mansell.
Just out of the retrograde in time for the pandemic.
We are on lockdown, everybody. Everything changed since our last podcast dropped.
In the days following our last episode, we are in an entirely new reality that is completely out of science fiction.
We thought we were on the roll, getting our computer, everything in gear, but now we're on lockdown.
Tuesday, Berkeley announced a citywide lockdown along with San Francisco. And then yesterday, the governor announced a statewide lockdown, which isn't really, I guess, technically a lockdown. It's a stay-at-home directive, which means that
it's voluntary, but it's a misdemeanor if you go out and you're not doing something that's essential. So,
right, so
essential is
banking, grocery stores, pharmacies, first responders.
Are the pot clubs open?
I
say pot? I mean the marijuana clubs.
Yeah, so of course one of the first questions is, are the pot clubs open as well?
Right. People are going to have to turn to something to relax them because there's going to be widespread panic. People can't get their medicine.
I guess this is going to be a blooming time for the cannabis industry.
Or the home grower.
Well, I don't know what the rules are for that. So,
well, I think it's legal, and I think you can have up to we can look at that up. 0 to chill. Okay, we're cutting all of that out.
Definitely cutting that. Okay.
But I think that's part
of
our
conversation. So
how VR fits into everything too, because people are going to need to have a way to connect and also to phase out and go somewhere else if they can't go anywhere from home.
Honestly, a meeting in VR, while I feel like it can be really productive, it's also glitchy and it amplifies the awkwardness of, is this mic on? Because you still have all of that same talking, you still have that same awkwardness of an online group hangout, but now you're present. So you could, it's just with avatars. So I guess it just seems like if you're a beginner, it just seems like if you're new to VR, there is going to be a learning curve for trying to get into social VR or meeting spaces in VR. It's enough for you to learn how to do it and navigate, because each platform has a different way to teleport. They have a different location for where their menus are. Sometimes they're on your wrist. Sometimes they're, different controller buttons.
Oh, I see.
So the onboarding for a VR social experience or a meeting experience is going to be different for each platform. And then there is that kind of friction. There is a strong user friction still.
Oh, okay.
The time that it takes for you to figure out how to do it, while it can be creative and productive, it might not be as effective for teams that don't require necessarily a 3D collaborative environment. There's plenty of situations, I think, where Zoom is perfectly fine and it's more accessible. But I think most people using VR for meeting and being productive already had a headset.
Right.
I'm just saying, the growth isn't going to all of a sudden. I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a hockey stick kind of adoption now that we're all sequestered. Millions of people are losing their jobs right now. So they don't know where their next paycheck's coming from. They're not thinking about how to get a VR headset. So if companies are going to start adopting VR as a way to meet, they have to be those companies are going to be providing those headsets. Employees shouldn't be required to buy their own headsets so that they can participate in a VR meeting. So my point is just that in the near future, the people who...
It's always supply chain for you, isn't it?
It's a what?
It's always access and supply chain for you. I'm just teasing
Yeah,
you.
and value. Yeah, no, but and cost, right? Like cost. Like, why would I
Yeah,
invest in, like, where does
cost.
it make yeah, am I a 3D design company that's making cars? Yes, then I do want to invest in remote design collaborative
Yeah.
tools like VR. But I was going to do that anyway. Like, I'm already on that track. Or I might already be having those kind of tools,
Yeah,
right?
you already have the equipment ready at the ready. So you're ahead of the curve. So does that make it even more than that the people who are ahead of the curve before all of this? I mean, it's not impossible to catch up and to be there, but it just
No,
has to be developed and provided, basically made
it has to be supplied,
accessible.
right? And then,
Yeah.
but for instance, there was this really good video on coronavirus, looking at coronavirus
Mm-hmm.
in VR in a platform called, I posted a link to a free app available on the Oculus and Steam store and on SideQuest. It's called
Oh,
Nanomi.
yeah.
It's a free multiplayer app that lets you manipulate chemicals and proteins with your hands. So it's like exploring chemistry. So if you're a scientist looking at different infectious diseases and you want to see it in 3D, then yes, those people are going to be in VR working and learning a lot by running
Yes,
simulations.
because
And
then you can see the relationship of the molecules in like real time and like
you can walk through it.
and you can walk through it. It's kind of cool, and it would be a great, like, I took chemistry and organic chemistry, and I'd love to get into the brain, actually, if they had something like this with the brain and the different structures that where you go to the
Well, it's funny that you should mention that
synapse
because
points and see the chemicals and how they react.
there is Neuro Explorer VR, which goes
Really?
through the amygdala and looks at how
Ah,
endorphins
oh,
are triggered in the brain, and that was created by Pfeiffer
really?
Gabrici in
Pfeiffer?
like 2 years ago. Yeah, that was
Our
her.
Pfeiffer?
Our Pfeiffer.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
Neuro Explorer.
Neuro Explorer VR, and it's a elegant, simple, short demo experience of traveling through the brainstem, and the environment was all created in Tilt Brush. So it's a free demo, and one of the first things, and it's definitely like the top of my list in terms of like what you can do, like a simple educational experience. Definitely, it was one of those experiences that you want to see more of, and it was, this was probably 2 years ago when it came out, so it's one of the earliest experiences on the Oculus store. So it's
That's
exciting to
cool.
kind of see, how things began, like how things were starting out in terms of content and good examples of applications for using VR. I moderate the Facebook group East Bay Virtual Reality Alliance, which is a community forum for East Bay VR practitioners and explorers.
Mhm.
And one of the members, Josh Cohen, on March 12th, shared this video of these doctors exploring the coronavirus molecule. And this came out in February, this video. It shows two scientists. They're both named Michael. one is in Australia, and I don't know where the host is, but in any event, we'll post in the show notes a link to the video that shows the two doctors, as well as the platform they're using to look at coronavirus and the PDB code that you need to install the model. Now, I haven't tried this yet, but I'm really looking forward to checking it out. And it's a free platform that's available on the SideQuest, Oculus, and Steam. I personally, going into all these platforms just makes me miss Facebook Spaces even more. That was
Oh,
definitely my
yeah.
platform of choice. I preferred the format. I liked not having any legs or having, I liked the limited sort of character avatars based on your photos. I liked being able to go live straight to Facebook, um, bring in Quill and other 360 videos. Like, to me, they just had the best lighting for avatars, and that you can make a big, it's not necessary for everything, but for me, when I'm looking to connect with my friends, I don't actually like going to lots of meetups in the real world. So I'm not that compelled to go to a lot of meetups in VR. I'm not looking to necessarily
Okay.
socialize in VR. I might just want to hang out
Right.
with one or two friends.
Well,
So I'm just saying, like, Spaces was really, really
yeah.
good for that, in a way
Yeah.
that, like, some of the other platforms, I miss the functionality, and I miss my avatar in a way that I guess I wasn't really expecting. But now, in a moment of like needing, a remedy, or needing some place to feel
Mm-hmm.
hopeful, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first place I want to go. And we don't even have Horizon yet. And I don't want to, I know people are working hard, so it's not like I'm
Mm-hmm.
being really critical about it. It's more just that it's a little disappointing that in a moment when people really want to connect with that platform or a platform on Facebook, there's nothing for them right now.
Mm-hmm. I think I just want to make a comment about what you said, the kind of person that you are in terms of your use of social gathering sites, and that Facebook Spaces was perfect for what you're talking about, where you could call on your friends and have conversations in there. But what I noticed about you is you gathered people and you were talking about the latest things and developments in Facebook Spaces.
That's
You
just me.
still recognize
Just me.
you had a responsibility for whatever voice you were using. You weren't like suddenly emboldened to be a different person.
Right. And I've seen, when I watch my cousins go into VR chat for the first time, they go wild. They run around, they talk to everybody. My nephew, he went into VR chat for the first time and was in this environment where he just started touching everybody's face. Now, this was weeks before the virus, but he was like, touch my face. He'd be like, let me touch your face. Let me touch your face. And then it was odd. I don't remember exactly what avatar he was. You can clone someone's avatar. So if you go into a space, you can hit clone, and all of a sudden your avatar turns into their avatar. And so everyone
I don't think
started cloning his avatar to what he was, and then touching everybody's face. So everyone was touching everybody's face, and
it went viral.
they all looked the same. And he was like, it was so weird
Wow.
seeing all these people, all these avatars that looked the same, and everyone was trying to touch each other's face, like coddle it, with both hands on the cheeks on both sides, like, just like, and I'm like, that is so weird. Why would you do that? It's like, well, and that now it's ironic because you can only do that in VR. You can't do that in
Yeah,
the
that's
real
right.
world anymore.
I think there's a huge application for that in VR.
For touching people's faces in VR, like, it was just,
People want to touch each other. Some people are huggers, not everybody, but
I'm not a hugger. I grew up in Berkeley, so it made me anti-hugging. We're living in a post-corona world now.
don't cough because people are going to think you're full of the plague.
This is definitely the glitchiest situation we've had so far. And it just, we were just getting up and running. We were just trying to install our software. And now we're having to work from home, getting into dev mode. When we started looking at this bug, which is an Oculus Install Bug, it took us to the forums of 2016 on Oculus, and people were not happy. This was a well-documented bug about a Windows package install that will tell you, the error tells you that you can't install the Oculus headset because you need to install these other security patches. But those security patches are already installed. So,
right. So, like, I love the comments in the forum. That was one of my most eye-opening experiences because I was like, oh, we can fix this. Cece's got this. You know, you had that like, oh, I'm a scientist. Let's figure this out kind of attitude about it. I have like a screenshot of the comments. And I like this one. It says, this is the most awful, buggy, inept setup in the history of computing. When it doesn't say it can't connect, it will say you miss updates, even if you don't. It's like a setup requires an animal sacrifice for it to work. It's unacceptable. This level of incompetence from a company selling expensive hardware and you can't even enjoy it. You wipe your disk clean, spend a full day on it, and then it still will find a way to not install your company. You will give us an online setup with the option to bypass any sneeze that setup thinks it will block it, something like that. Drop an online setup already. That's just one comment.
and there were a lot. we were like, oh my God, look, we're like, hello from 2020.
Right, because these are from what year? This is from
That was 2017.
January 2017.
Your friend and partner Leonard is now also interested in getting into VR on the music production side, and is going to be exploring music creation platforms. And
yeah, he loves to jam with other musicians, and he's a multi-instrumentalist, so he has lots of skill in real life, and he's very interested in translating it over into the VR world and connecting with people while, especially during this time of the COVID-19, stay-at-home rule where he's not supposed to have anybody over, and it's a big part of his life.
So he's
there you go.
A Mac person as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting a new VR ready PC. And what we'd like to do is now try the install on that system.
Right. For the regular Oculus Rift headset.
So to just get that working. So when you get that desktop, you'll take the Rift, plug it in, and just start from there. And you already have your Rift account. You're set up on that side. We've definitely had to constantly rethink things. And just as we're getting set up, we have to pivot and try to find a new thing to do. And now, along with 40 other million Californians, we are on a stay-at-home order. So there couldn't actually be a better time for you to really have access to this technology. And I hope that, at least you can use I hope that we're able to resolve this issue, because I never had it when I was setting up my system.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wouldn't know how to.
I hope so.
And there was an option. I think someone had recommended they had a recommended fix going through the command line, but I'm just not, I don't know enough about the command line to even know how to follow the instructions. Definitely on one of my side projects is to spend more time looking at the command line. I've used it a couple of times to fix things. I just don't really remember a lot of how I did it because I was following instructions from a tutorial. So I have been able to set up an Android debugging bridge using the command line. I have been able to facilitate fixing some problems, and it just seems like that's where the power is in understanding how to use the command line, because that's where you're talking directly to the computer. And so more adventures around the command line ahead for sure. If I were homeschooling right now,
Ooh.
I would be teaching my kids how to use the command line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ever since I started working on a multiplayer for VR, I've come to the conclusion that no one should be able to graduate high school without setting up a LAN connection.
Oh.
Like everyone should know how to do
Yeah, in this day and age, I think you're right. Local area network.
that. Woohoo!
Woo, and you what it stands for. Can't do it.
So let's get to, I'm going to get your impressions a little bit about what that felt like when we were stuck. And because I remember this one thing you said, which was like, I don't know what to do from here. And I feel like that so often. And honestly, it was like, I felt seen that someone else, to see someone else go through that feeling of like, I don't really know what to do from here. And I felt like that's where we were making our greatest progress.
That experience where you think it's almost like it's a game and you think, oh, well, okay, it's going to be hard. Keep hearing this, it's going to be hard. And then you get to the point where it's this loop error, and then you go and find an answer. That's kind of cool. Kind of get each moment going to the forum. I was pretty impressed that you knew exactly where to go and we could find that spot. And then we go to the forum and those people are like, no, dude, this is the most terrible error because it's sending you in this weird loop. I was like, well, what can we do from here? I don't really know. And then look to you and you're like, I don't know. We're going to have to go the hard way, command line error, like kind of go to the source of how to fix it. And that's way beyond where I know to do, what to do. But you did mention like we could get your other headset and maybe bypass that error. I was very hopeful for that, but we're going to go with this other way first.
Yeah, but now that we can't, because now it's like, it's just not hygienic to share a headset right now.
Oh, dashed again.
Right.
No,
oh, that's right. I said that, yeah, you could use the other headset.
The
but
other
no,
person that they're not using.
Well, no, they're using it. No, they're using
it.
They're just not, I don't think they're developing on it. They're using it to play games and stuff, but they're not using it to like develop it. And they will be. I mean, but just right now they're focused.
Well, hopefully the plan is that I get my own headset anyway, so that's part of it.
Well, yeah, we'll find a solution for the Rift one way or another.
Overall, and I feel like like kind of like this whole shelter in place virus thing. It's like, is this real? Is this what's real? What's not real? And Elon Musk has a proposal that there's a high probability that this is all just a simulation anyway. This reality, like, based on the idea of how evolved we've become in the past 150 years, and that we've come all the way from the steam engine to VR in this time period is incredible. And how could we do that without some kind of alien intervention or some kind of escalated advanced knowledge, some kind of way that we increased our knowledge. Who knows what happens to us next, but what's going to happen in the next 20, 30 years, we're not going to really know the difference between this reality and what we've created in augmented and mixed reality and virtual reality. So it's an exciting time.
You see me shaking my head. You see me you've got to know I'm shaking my head. Like, no.
No, well.
No, there's no simulation. Like, people want to, I think people like it. That's what leads people to believe in religion, right? Is that they need, that certainty that there's some kind of greater good beyond this existence, or that there's some higher power that's actually running the show. And
I'm just talking about alien and intervention.
Aliens don't want to have anything to do with us other than to harvest whatever they need to harvest from us. So that's War of the Worlds. Some people believe that the aliens had populated the earth specifically so they could come harvest later.
Right.
So no, that any kind of suggestion, I'm I'm very
You're gonna squelch that
not
idea.
optimistic about the situation with the aliens because one, I think they're too smart to mess with us. Like they don't even want to have anything to do with us, which makes them elitist. So already I don't like them.
Oh,
Or
now.
they want to come and feed off of us. And that's another, I don't want to be anyone's dinner. So
Yeah, well, I think if you just look at it as a huge experiment, and not really that there's like, that there's this acceleration of technology, and that we've come to this certain point. If we don't blow ourselves up, that would be awesome. And maybe this coronavirus is Mother Nature's way of making us slow down and take care of the earth. And that's it. That's another viewpoint, that we're reducing our impact on the earth and the environment because we're having to stay home. So to me, that's valid, and at least we can the earth can take a break. The earth can take a break, can take a breath, and
yeah, the
we'll
Earth's
find out what
not a
happens.
simulation. The Earth is a living, breathing
It is.
organism.
We treat it like
Planet.
it's like
It's a planet.
it's a planet.
It's a planet. We live on it. I just can't find any toilet paper on this planet.
I've heard bidet sales are going up.
Oh God, let's not do that on the show, please. We know everybody's bragging about their bidets. Oh, all right. Moving on.
Meanwhile, I've been looking at the sites for the different landscapes that I want to create. Like looking at examples. A lot of them look like anime. My experience using Tilt Brush has just been limited to changing the brushstroke size and color and drawing like flowers or just images. Or so I'm curious. Maybe since I used it, it's changed. It's evolved, and it's exciting because looking at the different artists, yeah, I had, like, wow, I'm not going to be like that. But then it gave me the idea of, oh, I could do anything, step into my imagination and figure it out. I definitely have texture and water and like kind of to go along with my playlist that fits the music also would be elemental. So I definitely was looking at nature things. I'm very attracted to purples and blues and greens. So it's as a meditative sort of scheme. Water is definitely was part of my collage. But then I found like this gnome, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should put a gnome. And I'm like, no. And I know a lot of artists who actually take photographs and do that same thing where they make it a study and paint from that. So that's a good idea, a good concept to think about how to bring my ideas to life.
This week on the
That's my
Gamma,
internet done.
the sound profile is all about the intensity of the moment. And the first track is a techno acid piece from Psychic TV, thanks to a share from Ricardo Bracho on Facebook. The track is, I believe it's called Godzilla versus the Space Mutants, but in the comments they say they have some other names for the title, but it's a hardcore acid track. Yeah, so I have the Carmina Burana in acid sounds, very dramatic and dance worthy. Then on the second track, we go punk with Where Eagles Dare by the Misfits, and contrast that with club pop track I Gotta Get Through This by Daniel Bedingfeld. Track 4 is a whole vibe and awakening with a video that slams. I love this song, and it's called Fall Hard. So it hits hard. The title is Fall Hard by Brewer, Bruer, B-R-U-E-R. There's some Sinead O'Connor in there. Some
Cool.
really nice, yeah. And we top off with Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And we have that bonus track, My Sharona.
My Corona.
Yeah, that's the bonus track, is My Sharona at the end.
Everybody should know the words to My Sharona. There's not many words, are there?
Well, it's funny because well, that one you really want to look at the comments because right now everyone's like, "Oh my God, I'm here for coronavirus." Who's here? Like everyone's like, "Who's here for coronavirus?"
I wonder if also the music band The Cure is getting a lot of play because everybody's looking for The Cure.
Well, there was definitely the meme. They were like about the Cure. They're like, "This is." I'm not sure about. Yeah, there was definitely the Cure meme that was going around. I'll have to put that in the show notes also.
Cool.
What's happening on the elements this week, Melanie?
Elements. Well, we definitely are on a similar track. I feel like I really wanted to bounce around a little bit and bring in some, of course, elements. I've got sort of a folk music feel, and one of the songs we open with a piece called "The Water," and it's this duo. It's very, blonde, innocent looking, and it's kind of a dark song. So it's called "The Water," and I feel like there's this madness happening in the world that I want to bring us back down to earth and also take us out into space. So some of the songs I have, like this one, Morphine, You Look Like Rain, is kind of psychedelic and a nice little riff. And I've got an Indian song called Dancing in Madness that's Ravi Shankar's daughter, Anushka Shankar.
Oh.
And then a little steel drums from a local musician, Andy Norell, and he's world renowned. Turns out when I talked with him, I had gone to Cazadar Music Camp back in 1978, and he had started a program in 1977, his first year there, that was helping to give scholarship to kids that normally wouldn't have access to playing music. So I got to actually thank him for having had a scholarship to Cazadar Music Camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and told him, how influenced I was by that. And it's really, steel drum is a family of the Rav drum, which is what I'm learning also to play. That's part of my soundscape for the project we're doing. So I think that's really interesting that I'm tying these things into my music playlist. And so always wanting to tie it back into the earth and then coming out into the cosmos. I got a piece that's this guy, he's like on some Hawaiian island, and the highlight of my playlist is a song called Reflection by a woman who's an Aboriginal musician called Yaima. And I think that people will really like it. It's very tribal, very deep. I end my list with the Moonlight Sonata from Beethoven, where a guy is playing a piano out in the forest with an elephant by his side. So
Wow.
we're starting with water and ending with moonlight.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Yay.
I can't wait to check it out.
And I
And
can't wait to check yours out.
the videos are fun. I put a little Depeche Mode in there also, early Depeche Mode, because the Get the Balance Right is a really good music video. So early 80s, like they were just so tapped in and they're so young. There's this underlying romantic crushing kind of feeling, like you're when you're crushing on someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that sense of like wanting to be near someone when you can't.
No.
So I think it's like an underlying thread.
Well, that's what I wanted to say too, is I feel like music is so healing and it can really calm the beast. And these playlists are of the moment, right? Each week we're going through different things and they're definitely reflecting what's going on in the world. And it feels like we really need to like keep on keeping in touch with nature for me, and also like that romantic and letting the music speak to us however it does, and keep exploring and finding new music and old music that's interesting. And
It's like it's a timestamp for me. It's a little bit of a mood timestamp.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping for a little bit more optimism in my next playlist. I think it's going to be a little bit more slap happy than this week. And as things start to get, I think, a little bit more intense, the cases are just climbing by the day. So by this time, next week, we'll see the next phase of this unprecedented global pandemic that is keeping everyone at a social distance.
Including us.
Including us. So no more basement of the matrix. We're in the Zoom of the matrix. We want to thank our partners over at Berkeley Community Media, AR/VR Women and Allies, and Quirkly. Until next time.
Happy installing.